Good morning, everyone. If you all take your seats, we'll get started. I'm Dave Peach. I'll be chairing the meeting today. Ms. Horton was otherwise engaged, but it still looks like we have a quorum. So if we are good to go, you ready, Ms. Shannon? One set. We will get the meeting started. Let's see. First agenda item is approval of the February 17, 2019 minutes. Does anyone have any changes or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve it.
Second. Motion approved and seconded to approve the February 7th, 2019 minutes. Thank you. Let me get back to the introductions. My bad, I'm sorry. We have two new members joining us today. I'd like to introduce George Jordan. He is currently the alternate for the City of Milton. If you'd just like to tell us a little bit about yourself, sir, so folks get to know you.
I'm City Councilman of Milton, Ward 3, Precinct 1, and I'm really not prepared for this today. It just kind of jumped on me. I was asked to be here yesterday, so I'm looking for a lot of guidance from you guys and a lot of support. And look forward to being with you in the future. Ms. Holly, health problems that may prevent her from continuing in this seat, and I was asked if I would take the position, and if Mayor Lindsay desires me to do so, I will be seeing you quite often.
Awesome. Welcome. It's a great team. We all work together, so you got no worries here. Our next is a new Golf Breeze rep, Mr. Todd Torgerson. Sir, if you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Todd Torgerson. I'm still playing newly elected city council person for the city of Golf Breeze. And it's been somewhat of a blur, but I'm doing my best to catch up and get up to speed on everything. I appreciate being part of this committee. I think it's doing great work, and I look forward to being part of it. I have a lot of time invested in this part of the county. For 25 years, I've lived in Cal Islands. I was telling Ron up here from the city on the way over, I said, I sure wish they had this stuff in my kid for growing up. Look forward to working with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you. Congratulations on your win and welcome. Okay, we'll go to item number 2, the lodging tax update. Miss Julie.
Thank you, Commissioner. In your packet, you'll have the lovely chart that Nicole takes her time to make for us every month that shows our lodging taxes. It goes all the way back to 2014. So anyways, what we've got to report right now is January at $133,265, which is a 41.45% increase over last January. And if you'll notice, the year before that, we had a much lower increase, which was 3.41, and before that, 9.93. So we've discussed this before. We always want to see normal increases, which are between 2 to 4% on a monthly basis. So we have achieved our normal percentage increase plus a lot more, so that's good. We have healthy bed taxes.
Does anyone have any questions for Julie or comments on the bed tax? Good stuff.
Get your button.
With the situation east of here, with the storm, do we anticipate additional growth? How about now? There we go. Okay. Sorry. Do you anticipate additional revenue growth due to the situation from the storm to the east?
I'm part of a group, Northwest Florida, directors. We're all a group within the Panhandle, so I'm friends with everybody across the Panhandle who holds the same position I do in each county. So I'm in normal touch with them, what's going on in their counties, what's going on in our counties, is anybody being affected, if so, how much, whatnot. So I am aware that Panama City Beach already rolled out a campaign prior to Thanksgiving that their beaches were open, they're open, and please come. So they already hit this head on a long time ago. They were ready. Now, Mexico Beach obviously is different. That's kind of a no-go right now. So my guess is the type of people who visited Mexico Beach is our type of audience. Okay, they're looking for low-key, relaxed, quiet, nice charm. So those folks most likely are not going to be hitting high crowded areas. They're going to be looking for somewhere else. Is it going to be us? Possibly. We don't know yet. Okay, we have seen an increase in snowbird visitors because some people just aren't aware that Panama City Beach was open and ready for business at Thanksgiving. So we did see an increase this winter in snowbird due to lack of not local media, but national media. Sometimes national media will push out, Panhandle's been destroyed and this, that, and the other, and then they don't ever circle back around and say, hey, guess what, So that if you watch the nightly news, you have a pretty good grasp of, they tell the worst of the situation, they hone in on that, but they don't sometimes circle back around to tell, hey, it's, not this bad, or it's still open for business, because they're just focused on that. So our local media has done a great job, I know, across the Panhandle, and our ad agencies across the Panhandle have been doing what they're supposed to do. But on the mindset of somebody in Wisconsin, they may still think that there's nothing left over there because they don't know. So do I anticipate a huge jump? No, I don't anticipate a huge jump. Maybe a little bit more. I know Okaloosa County, I was watching the news this morning, they're preparing for an increase at spring break because of the Panama City Beach. But I've also been watching over the last 2 years a change. A lot of the people that were going to Panama City Beach for spring break have started going to Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, that age group. So they kind of changed with the times. I'm older, and back in the day, I was going to Daytona Beach when I was on spring break. So that's like a way back. Everybody, they change. These groups change. The spring breakers change. As we're all of age where we usually find a destination we like and we repeat to it, that age group necessarily doesn't, so we'll see. That's a good question. We'll see. But these numbers particularly, I would say I can contribute some of that, but not all of that. I know our RV parks were full this winter.
I can tell you, just from a Resort Quest perspective, we have seen a really good uptake with snowbirds, and probably I would go another 5-6% for spring break as well. And a lot of that, I think, is just because the word of mouth is out there. Families are looking for that quieter, more relaxed place to be, and what we take in is mostly families. But we have seen an uptake this year over last year all the way around, so it's a positive thing, very much so.
And to the new councilman, 2 of you, we have our target markets, our proven markets that we've been advertising to for years. Then we have an emerging set of markets that we've started in the last 3 years that has expanded in the southeast. And then beyond that, we even have a smaller set of markets that we've started in the last year. And so we've kind of spread our wings in the last 3 years, and we continue to do so. We watch the data come in, and as it comes in, we know if people are starting on a heat map, if they're starting to show up interested with online data, that they're looking at us or similar destination, then we can track if they end up coming here and stuff. So we're watching as it grows. So some potential markets that we're going to be putting a little bit of money to in the future that you would probably never guess would be Charlotte and Jacksonville, Biloxi because of Ocean Springs. There's some new ones coming online that we're going to test in. And so our reach started many years ago with just Houston, Dallas, New Orleans, Birmingham, Baton Rouge. That was all it was in 2014. And so now we're in the suburbs of Atlanta, Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, Little Rock, Montgomery. So we've done a lot of, So you'll learn a lot. And there's data to support why we do what we do. That's the most important thing.
Are there any other questions on the lodging tax update? Okay, no action needed there. Item number 3 is the request for proposal for our advertising agency contract, which is up. Julie?
Thank you, Commissioner. So in your packet, you have a copy that is ready to go to the Board of County Commissioners next Monday. Of course, we'll need action from your part in order to do this. It is that time again. It is our ad agency contract is going to be up for renewal, starting October 1st. We're out of contract. So, not saying we're not happy with our ad agency. That's not it. That's not what's going on here. What's going on is it's just time that we have to renew per the contract. So, you do need to notice that the only changes that have been made in this are our current contract for the last 3 years has been $700,000. It was a set price, $700,000. And those of you that have been around for the last 3 years know that we had some BP monies 3 years ago and 2 years ago. Those dried up. So this past year at the budget workshop that you all were sitting in, you all voted, and I took it to the Board of County Commissioners to put an extra $150,000 of our budget into advertising. Okay? And most of you probably remember that. So that brought our ad spend up, our contract plus an additional $150 up to $850,000. We can sustain that, no problem. So it is my recommendation to this board that we place the ad agency contract at $850,000 with a minimum spend written in here of $600,000 directly to net media buy. It's not been like that before where we are definitive about our net media buy, but I think we're at the point where we need to be now. We're growing in great numbers, and I think it's the responsible thing to do.
And Julie, you explained it to me. If you just explain to the members what you mean
Yeah.
by that.
So when I got here, we were spending $200 and something thousand on ad buy out of our contract. And then 3 years ago, we were spending a little under 400,000, I think. And then 2 years ago, it was like 450,000. This year, it's 504 or 5,000. I can't remember. But okay, so we're at the point though where it needs to get up to $600,000, and we can hold that number.
Yeah, and I think you mean the direct commercials and things like that, so whoever gets this isn't going to pocket all 800. We're telling them you're going to spend 600.
Yeah, we're setting the budget, basically. We're saying, so this might eliminate a lot of people from even applying for this RFP, okay? Because maybe their fees are extremely high, I don't know. There's a lot of agencies out there that are very large, that have very large agency fees. So we're saying, this is how much money we have, $850,000, but out of it, $600 has to go to direct media buy.
I like that. Let's see.
One more time, Pat. There it is.
Okay. So I like that, Julie, very much, and I wonder if we can't, can we afford any more ad placement?
So in our in-house budget, we still will keep that other monies, yeah.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that on the 21st.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, as we go, I think that we should watch this, and then next year, if we're seeing that our bed taxes continue to increase like this, then we can do what we did this current fiscal year. We can, even though our contract's $850, we can vote and spend another $100 direct media buy. You know what I mean? We can
Yes.
do that.
Yes, as we see how it's
Mhm.
developing. Yes. Okay, and so then this is my sort of historical comment that I really like to share, is I would like to see some local ad placement so we are cross-selling, helping those folks who are in the central and northern part of the county really understand how nice Navarre is. You know, I don't want us to forget that we need to constantly sell to each other the availability and the amenities in both areas of the county. So this is just the time when I like to say that. I want to see ads in coastal areas that talk about the north, and I want to see ads up there that talk about right here in Navarre. Sometimes we're so busy and we're so bombarded with advertisement. We have a beautiful beach right here. I never see an ad at home, you know.
I have. I've been online and got a banner ad across for our beach before when I'm at the house. Because they target a region, and sometimes during certain months it's the Pensacola area or whatnot, and it'll stretch into our area.
Thank you for the time.
And Julie, if you'd like to explain what the expectation is from the board when these proposals come in and how you're going to evaluate them.
Yeah, so this will go before the Board of County Commissioners on next Monday after action that's needed from this team. And they'll vote on it the following Thursday. And then this is dated to go out for RFP March 15th. And it will be due back to procurement up at the county by April 11th. And procurement will open those. That's how it, the steps is taken with the county. And the county administrator, Dan Shebler, will be appointing a grading team to go over these RFPs. So it won't be all of you sitting up here today, probably just 5 of us or so. That yeah, they'll be scoring whatnot. So we're really going to be looking to lodging partners to really put an effort to do this. This is really important. It's what your business rests on. And so this ag contract is extremely important to me, you know, and it's going to be extremely important to you. And he will appoint you and let you know if you can, and ask you if you can fulfill that appointment. Yeah, you'll take it home like some of you may have done last time or not, and you'll have like 3 to 4 weeks to do this and then present those back to procurement. And then after that, it'll move forward with, we'll narrow it down to the top 3. And I'll ask my boss again to go do site visits like we did last time, which really made a difference. And so we'll go through the site visits. After that, I'll report back to you what my recommendation is. We'll have the top 3 presenters here. We'll go through that, and then you all will take action on a vote, a recommendation. I'll take that to the board. I'll make a recommendation as well, and we'll move forward and try and get that ready for October 1st. That's why we got to start so early.
Right. Yeah, and Mr. Shebler, you know, does a great job now. There's rigor to the process. There'll be scoring sheets. There'll be criteria, so it just won't be, this one feels good. So it'll stand up in the shower, if you will. So if you can help out with that, you know, I would just let Julie know if you're willing, or if there's no way you think you can. So Dan could just make the appointments and we can get rolling. So any other questions for Julie on the RFP? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the RFP.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anyone opposed? The motion passes. Okay. Item number 4, Navarre Beach improvements. Back to you, Julie.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to let the Commissioner work with me on this one. So, but I'll touch base first with, we've discussed the crosswalk that, we've been discussing the crosswalk for years. So I'm going to contribute this to the Commissioner and thank him for taking the lead on this. He met with myself and Glenn Bailey from Rhodes and really took the lead on this, and within 60 days we will have that crosswalk out there where you can push it and then it'll flash, it'll run off solar, make a great improvement right there in front of the pier, as well as having a sidewalk that runs adjacent to the pier driveway, because currently there is no, pedestrians have to walk into the traffic of the pier driveway to get to the pier if you're walking, which is not safe and it's not pedestrian friendly by any means. So that is going to be a great asset. That was first. Second is, and that'll be completed within 60 days. Second is the Gulf Side Pavilion, the large new pavilion that's being built in between the 2 existing ones in the Marine Park. It has been ongoing under construction for several months now. So it's coming along good. I don't have a completion date yet, but it's coming along really excellent. It's going to be very nice. We'll have a ribbon cutting for that and make sure and invite everybody. And then the 2 sound side pavilions with the nice boardwalks, the low ones like we created at the kayak walkover, Those look excellent too. They're going to be soon to completion. We'll let you know and send out an invite as well. So I look for all those to be completed, you know, relative, especially the sound side ones, relatively soon. And then let's refresh our memories to the last TDC meeting regarding the request from the leaseholders for us to take on the responsibility of irrigating Gulf Boulevard with water wells and landscaping and not. And so we left that meeting saying that we would go back to our county staff for some type of cost proposal, what it would even cost, and then come back to you guys. But if you guys remember, the team was there, the leaseholders, some great folks, and I asked them to please go back to their folks and get back to me, because we were making a compromise about those park benches. And we asked them that we needed to move to a location of their choice 3 of those park benches. And so the word that came back to me was, and we also discussed the trash can, the signs on the trash cans. We said, they're old, we're going to replace those, but we'll also replace with your exact phrasing on the trash cans at another location at our cost, you know, dedicated to whoever, whatever it said, no change in wording. And so they went back, and then the email came back to me that was unanimously voted down by the leaseholders, that they do not want us touching or moving any of their benches or any that we had to utilize the same plaques that were on the trash cans and whatnot. So I think at this point that we probably need to put that project on the back burner, would be my recommendation, because the issue is that some folks purchased from those folks $2,500 islands that has pavers around them and a park bench inside of them. So be like me buying $2,500 island from the leaseholders on county property is what's happened, okay? So it'd be like me saying, well, no, I paid $2,500. I don't want, you can't move that. So I get the problem we're at. So do we as a county want to walk in there and say, sorry, but we own this and this is what we're going to do? I'm not ready to do that right now. I think we need to just put it on the back burner and leave it be for now. But instead, I think we can refocus our energy and our efforts of beautification. And I've got in your packets this. If you can pull this sheet, it's at the end. So if you look at this sheet, you need to look at it with the larger landmass at the top, okay, of you. Yeah, so you're looking at it like this. Okay, so this is if you're at the Navarre Visitor Center on the bottom here. Okay, that's Navarre Parkway on the very bottom. So you're going to go over Navarre Causeway Bridge, and then you guys see at the very end, you go left or right. Left is towards the Marine Park, right is towards Gulf Breeze, right? So I've got a video that they're going to play back here, and I want you to observe there is no landscaping. Here's your video. You've got all this beautiful landscaping before you start over Navarre Bridge. Okay, folks, right there, if you look at that TV right there, see there's no landscaping. Yeah. There's no landscaping at all. It's just kind of a dead zone, it looks like. So, I think that we could instead beautify this area that is welcoming our visitors as they're coming into our prime location of the beach. And then, as you know, or don't know, when you get to the 4-way stop sign up here, it's still kind of the same. It's just kind of, non-beautification efforts. We haven't, it's not been a priority, but maybe it should be a priority now. So right now we've got another bridge that we got to cross. But right in front of the pier where we've got that very nice, expensive sign that we bought. So right here again, no beautification, but we can make that beautiful. And I think it would only take one water well to do that, run all those zones off of that. So we've got a little bit here and there. Then you've got Juana's. We would obviously not involve their property. That's their property. But when we get up here to the four-way stop sign, we might want to make some efforts. And right there at our beach parking lot, right there on the right, we could make that very nice. Right here, it could be very nice. So when you turn right here, this is where you're going to have your new crosswalk in a minute. But this area would be greatly benefited too in front of the pier out here on the left at where our new crosswalk is going to be, where our current sign is. If we did some beautification efforts as well, where the new sidewalk's going to be, which would be right now on your left almost. There's our sign on the left. You can see that. So can you pause that, IT, please? Okay, see on the left-hand side where you see that stop sign, that crosswalk in front, we're going to have that new sidewalk going right down there, straight to the pier. So we could do beautification around that sign on the right over there, in that whole front of that parking lot, and then right there on that corner as well, where the new crosswalk's going to be. So it'd be my recommendation that we shift our efforts right now and put that on the back burner maybe, per se, with Gulf Boulevard, because we don't want, we want to go into anything we're going to do on Gulf Boulevard with leaseholders as a true partnership, where everybody's benefiting and going to be happy. And right now, I don't think we're at that point where it can not upset anybody, so we don't want to upset anybody. I don't think that's anybody's goal. So instead, I think we can refocus our efforts and beautify where our tourists are coming anyways.
I have a curiosity question more than anything else. How does this affect the birds during that season?
And that's where I was going to chime in. It would be-
Okay.
We would have to be in lockstep with Audubon and all that, so, anything we do there would have to be in lockstep with them. Now, along there, if you've ever walked that, there's some seawall issues and there's some erosion around the seawalls, so I'm going to get with Public Works as well and try and do this as, we need to do that. We need to spruce it up a little. We need to make sure we don't interfere with the nesting birds and all that to improve that area. What I see this as is almost like a phase A1 of the existing project we approved, except because we were going to start right at the causeway and work our way west down Gulf Boulevard. We're just going to extend it, the first phase, up and around the corner. We could probably talk to Mr. Blaylock and them, since we as the board directed them to pursue the beautification. I think they could still do that because we were going to phase that anyway. At least the landscaping and the irrigation, which is the big pull. So we could just include this first phase in that, have it all done at once, and that way, as we work, we don't have to go back for more approvals. We could just keep working options down Gulf Boulevard. But we didn't catch really that at first, that coming over the causeway, because we all think of the birds. But I think we'll work with Caroline, who's the Audubon head there, and see if there's anything we can do, because there's a crosswalk there right near before Juana's that's dangerous, and it's going to be more dangerous now because the new crosswalks on the sound side actually lead to that crosswalk. So there's a crosswalk there that could be improved as people cross over from the new walkways to Juana's. So this would just be, in my opinion, an addition, phase A1 of the existing project we approved, and it'll just carry it on down further with all those considerations, Audubon, the seawall and all that.
So it makes sense to me. I'm glad to hear that, because I think one of the problems with the birds is sometimes the chicks come and cross the road. So it might be that integrating some design element that makes it look better also maybe redirects the baby chick,
Right.
or stops the baby chick from going in the street. I think it's great.
Yeah, and I think there's, we could even get with Sheila and see if there's a chance of some conservation grant funds or something too that we could roll in, on this whole thing and make it one big comprehensive action.
Is there action needed from us?
Well, on that one, we will. Just a couple on Julie's. The low walkways now, it's probably going to be the end of March, early April. And we're gonna do 2 ribbon cuttings like she mentioned. We'll do one, we're gonna do a kayak launch at the new handicap ADA accessible kayak launch on the sound side. And then the big walkover and new pavilions, we'll do another one, probably May, June timeframe, but we'll get those updates. We're gonna involve the Marine Science Station and the students from, that she has there with the ribbon cutting for the sound side one. So we'll plan it, we'll work with everyone's schedule and try and get as many of the students and things out there for that. I think
Where was
otherwise.
the kayak launch?
It's on, if you look on the map to the east of the causeway, just as you come in, it's basically right off the snorkel reef that sits to the far right of your picture up in this area. So. Any other questions on those beach updates? The new shower facilities, you any update on that?
They're still in the planning design phase. Hopefully we'll be ready to go for bid within 30 to 60 days because it's tied into the new bathroom project out there. So
Yeah, so we have that going on. I've asked Mr. Blaylock for an update on the pier repair. That's going to be an impact, but the pier boards are getting worse, so I don't know how much longer we could put off replacing all the boards on the pier, but that's going to be an impact to events and things. So progress is painful. We're going to try and work with the county staff to schedule all these around as many of the major events and with as little impact as possible. But if we do have a severe safety issue with some of them boards, we're going to have to probably do something sooner rather than later. With minimal impact to the tourist season than that as we can. And we'll keep you all updated. I'm in constant contact with them on these projects. Any questions from the board or the folks? If not, I'll entertain a motion to, amend the Golf Boulevard beautification project to include Phase A1, we'll call it. Starting on the causeway and working our way around the corner to the pier entrance.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we have motion second. Anyone opposed? We will add that to our agenda list. Thank you, Miss Julie. Okay. And if anyone wants to see that video, we could run it now or we could run it later for you. It's basically to drive over the... Yeah, it's basically just a cell phone out the front windshield of the bridge drive, so no problem. Okay, item number 5 is project team update from the Navarre Beach Snowbirds Club post-event report. Mr. Goulet, you have the podium.
Oh, now it's on. Yeah, good call. All right, so does everybody have what I turned in? Did you make? No? This is first, so I don't know what you guys have or don't have in front of you. All right, so we completed the snowbird season. Ups and downs, good stuff and bad stuff. I want to just acknowledge Judy on the board for providing some great feedback from some of her winter guests and some great ideas. And we're gonna refocus some a little bit over the off season for planning for next season. And it was a good year. The numbers hold true to what I saw. Is we were busy. We had a lot of people here. The strength of our snowbirds is repeat. People come back every year, and then they bring friends, which is always nice because they enjoy it here. And a big part of it is and this is the challenge, for what we do, is they come here for the peace and quiet, the calm, the lack of traffic, the lack of everything that goes on, but then they want as much activity as they can get. And it's like, well, these are conflicting things. Thankfully, though, over the last few years, we've developed, working with Charlene out at the science station, we've developed a snowbird program out there, and with the TDC's extraordinary support on that. This year, she had to add classes. She added a new program. Hilariously, she added a shark event, and then a week later, we caught a great white shark out on the pier. So lots of excitement, lots of buzz about that with the snowbirds. I tried to explain to them they're not going to come on shore and you're not going to go in the water, so it's perfectly safe. But so that was really neat. And some of this, and I'll just share with you, like I said, good and bad. We talked, and I came back to you guys a few months ago, and we tried to switch up from our normal sweetheart dance to doing a casino night. Unfortunately, it was a scheduling with the casino company to bring in the equipment and the space in town, and we couldn't get it to happen in February, and so it was March 2nd, and a lot of the feedback I got from our local snowbirds is they were all leaving March 1st, and I'm like, well, this is not helpful. So we at the last minute, basically switched it back to a dinner dance, moved it forward a week, and we were able to get about 55 people there, which is a good, great pictures. Everybody had fun. Stevie Hall came out, and he loves it for the snowbirds. And so it was a good time. And we had the expo in January. About 500 attended that. So it was a couple years ago we had 650 come, and that was just too many. The building just simply does not hold that many people over the short period of time because, and I love the snowbirds, and I've been working with them now for 7 years, and bless their hearts, they all show up early. And like we had a line of 200 deep out the door, 15 minutes before the doors were supposed to open early. And what we did this year to make it work and safer, because 2 years ago when we had those 650, we did have someone get knocked down, and it's got to be safe. We kind of slowed them entering so that they had to wait a little bit longer outside to get in. Luckily, it was a beautiful day. But what that did is it gave all the vendors a little bit better opportunity to meet with folks. Everybody still got in, and everybody still got the free stuff. And all the vendors were a lot happier because it wasn't packed. But we did get a few feedbacks from people that were unhappy they had to wait an extra 15 or 20 minutes in line because we slowly let them in. And that's, it's, you got to pick your poison in that particular point. And I thought that making sure that our vendors had a successful event and that it was safe seemed to be the more prudent course of action. And in the end, I thought it was a great event. And we had a lot of great vendors in there that really enjoyed it. We get great support from the restaurants. They come in and they all do food and stuff like that, and that's a big deal because it's expensive for them to come in and give out free samples to 500 people. And then local businesses. So basically, within the business community, the feedback this year was awesome. They're thrilled.
TJ, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know we had some local businesses it was already booked, so they weren't able to be a vendor there. Have you thought about extending this to a 2-day event?
I have, and that's something that what I'm going to hope to do with your help and your staff's help is get some of our key stakeholders in the snowbird arena together late August or around Labor Day to help plan a little bit better. One of the frustrations, and this goes for 20 years, there's competitiveness among stakeholders. Obviously, they all competing for dollars. But sometimes it's difficult because it splinters a little bit when it comes to the snowbirds, where RV parks call themselves the Snowbirds Club and they go out and they get gift certificates from local businesses. And then when I show up and they're like, well, we already gave you a certificate. I'm like, no, you did not. And I don't have a problem with that necessarily, but what I'd like to do is get everybody on the same page a little bit better. Not so much to prevent them from having their own activities, but to get better coordination with the larger activities that the county supports. So that way we all can benefit, even more than we already are. So the RV parks, some of the major condos, they do their own events, which are great, but I also want them to help support the core events that we do. And I'm hopeful that by giving them more input in the pre-planning, that they'll be able to support what we all come together and come up with. And part of that is splitting the expo into 2 events. One that's more business focused and then one that's more activities focused so that we can bring in more activities. And to your point, Kyle, one of my frustrations has been, and I send emails out to every business on the north side of the county that would be a snowbird of interest, and I can't get them to come down for the expo. And it's not, there's not a animus, it's a lot more time for them to come down for the expo from where they're at, and I don't know that they see the value of it. And so part of my goal is by splitting it up, we have a lot of North End activities that would really benefit from the Snowbird Expo.
Right, and so I think that we should come together and probably do a planning session, maybe to help everybody.
Yes.
You know, I've been to, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Lakeland, Florida. They have a large snowbird extravaganza every year, and it's a 2-day event, and it's highly attended and it's well planned out. They have live entertainment there virtually all day long. They have cooking demonstrations. They have different things going on, and I've saw what's been going on at yours, and it is so jam packed, and people are just rushing to get in. Now we've got vendors that can't even get a place there because it's already sold out. I feel like that maybe we need to expand this event to a 2-day event and maybe plan it a little different, like you were just saying, and maybe involve some local talent to keep them entertained. And maybe split it. One day, luck of the draw, these restaurants are there. The next day, these restaurants are there. You know, and same with hotel lodging, kind of split it. So we got on both days, everybody's represented, but that way we don't have it where if the snowbirds see that on Wednesday it's a business day and on Thursday it's a restaurant day, they're like, oh, well, we want to go to the restaurant day. Yeah. So we don't want that to happen either. We want it to be appealing to come both days, or, you know, or whatnot. Or what if they can't come 2 days? They want to know that on Wednesday they're still going to be able to see some restaurants and some local businesses. I don't know. So there's a lot to be discussed, and I think it's very worthy of sitting down and talking about it. Definitely.
agree.
And I'm willing for my staff to do that with you.
Perfect. Yes, and I've spoken with Corey Mobley of the Restaurant Association, Restaurant and Lodging Association. He wants to be more involved. I think that if we can come up with a plan, and I'm going to put in, obviously I'm going to put in for a grant again. What I'm probably going to do is I've been working on splitting the grant to take the expo, separate it out with a projected, because that can be, as you said, that can be a extravaganza. I love that word. I might steal that. An extravaganza, because it is our largest draw for, especially and this is, when the first time I took over the expo, we did 175 people and it was out at Hidden Creek. Now it's 500 people and it's at the Convention Center. It could easily be 2,000 people and 150 vendors. That's how many people we turn away. But to do that, I mentioned to Lynn if she would expand to 10,000 square foot, I would really appreciate it. That's not going to happen. But if we did it with a tent where we have some outdoor stuff, music, a big part of the Snowbirds is seating and some entertainment. I love the idea of doing a cooking exposition. But what I think that'll help us do, and in the thinking of the Snowbirds, they like staying in Navarre for the peace and quiet. They drive to Destin and come back. They drive to Pensacola Beach and come back. They drive to Pensacola and come back. They want to go to New Orleans for a 2-day trip, which is on the agenda for next year. We're going to do a bus trip to New Orleans. And then they come back. And that's what we want to do is I would love it if we could draw some restaurants from Pensacola Beach for the expo, if we could draw some Destin activities for the expo. Yes, we would love it if every penny they spent in their entire vacation was in Santa Rosa County, but we know that's not going to happen. But we want to make sure they're staying in Santa Rosa County, even if they drive to Pensacola one day a week and they drive to Destin one day a week.
Right. So I think that this is everywhere needs events like this, because we have to keep in mind these folks are pumping a lot of money into our economy for three months or 5 months or 1 month, whatever, especially when our RV parks were booked this year. So we've got to, provide something for these folks, some type of event that they will enjoy. And so I like your idea of expanding to a tent outside. I just heard Nicole over here whisper we should put a car show out there with the tent,
Yes.
Stuff
show,
like that.
exactly.
So there's a lot of ideas, I think, that if we have a think tank session with you, that my staff and I would be happy to. And maybe we can pull in some of the local hoteliers and restaurants, yeah.
And from the north end, and it's interesting. And I gave you guys, we worked really hard to collect data. So we turned in about 450 of the entry forms to the expo, which have them check what their interests are, but it also gives us their hometown zip codes and their email address if they have one. That's probably about 70% have email addresses on them. And we also do the full surveys, the full page surveys at our events where we can get them to sit down and take 5 minutes and fill that out. You know, we have a decent communication relationship with the snowbirds. If we grow it and we can get that information out there earlier, they'll get excited. And the thing that is interesting is each year we have about 10 or 12 snowbirds buy a house here in Navarre, house or condo. We have many snowbirds that were coming here as snowbirds 8, 10, 15 years ago that are coming back now, much in the way of the military. They get stationed here, they live here for 5 years, they go off and do the rest of their career, and then they come back, much in the way that I moved here in 1999, left in 2001, and came back 4 years ago. Once you come here, it's hard not to want to be here for the rest of your life. And there's a value in that, obviously, to the county, even beyond bed tax dollars. They become part of our community and part of our tax base, and honestly, a lot of them are volunteers, and they love coming back and seeing their old friends. And if we get more people from Minnesota and less from Michigan, I'd be fine with that. But other than that, I'm fine. I'm from Minnesota. It's a football thing. Anybody have any questions for me?
You know, because I sense we're talking about capacity and trying to grow and meeting and planning. Your support, your volunteer support, all of that's real stable. You need any other kinds of help, or your team is
obviously
solid?
Love more volunteers. A lot of the things that we plan are pretty easy to do. I mean, it's not that hard to do an expo. Lynn and her staff does a great job. If we grow it to what we're talking about, we'll need more bodies. But I have a list of people that they're like volunteer. They love to volunteer. They love to volunteer because they get in early. As I said, they always show up early anyway, so they get in early. They don't have to wait in line. But they love to volunteer because it's fun. They like to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, yes, absolutely.
That's great to hear.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we got a good way forward for next year as well. And I could tell you, just flipping pancakes at the senior center, they saw an increase on their once-a-month pancake breakfast. And a lot of visitors coming in there to do that. So, yeah, the snowbird population was up, and they're a good group. So it's good stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, TJ. Okay. We'll move on to other business or in public input. Just one other project I forgot about, but the reef, the mile-off reef is complete now. I'm hearing a lot of buzz about that, so I expect to see a lot of folks trying to get out there, hopefully not swim out to a mile and do it, but I think it's a great thing. And just an update, too, from the approval of the lifeguard stands and things. Thanks to this board recommending that to us on the BOCC, we're seeing already gains and impacts from the lifeguard program, moving to the fire department and the support we're giving them. So I want to thank you from the BOCC perspective for bringing that to us, because I think we're going to see a huge improvement and a lot of great changes out there. So we'll keep you posted, but the work this board's doing and sending it up to us is fantastic. So thank you for that. Does anyone have any other business we need to bring up?
Yes, sir. I just want to remind everybody that our annual budget meeting is March 21st at the Navarre Visitor Information Center at 8:30 in the morning. And it'll probably be a 2-hour meeting. So I just want to remind everybody about that.
Okay, does anyone from the public have anything they'd like to bring or address to this board? Good to see y'all. One thing, Ms. Stokes handed me before I came in, a magazine that featured the kiln walk. There's some great photos in here and an article on the kiln walk, so if anyone wants to take a peek at it before I leave. But it was a great event. Yes, ma'am. Could you hit, it'll stay bright green.
Okay. My name is Jeannie Kinnear, and I live in Navarre. And I was a snowbird last year, and I'm one of the people who moved because of that. But I actually was a snowbird in the Fort Walton area group. But because housing is so affordable, I decided I would be moving to Navarre, and I love the beach here. But anyway, on that note, I do want to be involved with the snowbirds because I have to say I didn't really even know about it. And here I am, a resident, and so I was wondering about the advertising, how that happens and how people get to know about, and maybe I can talk to you personally, to find out about all that. But I would love to be part of it. So anyway, but one thing I wanted to ask about is that beautification project over on the Gulf side of our beach over there. And I've talked to a few people from a meeting that I was at recently who live over there, and what one of them had said too is that she, just an FYI for all of you, is that sometimes she's been seeing a lot of, this doesn't have to do with the beautification per se, but she said she's been seeing a lot of dogs that have been getting on the beach and really going into the water, and she said it's getting a little bit out of control. And so I just wanted you to know that there are a few residents over there that are really concerned. I said, are there signs up? And she said, well, there's one, and maybe like be no dogs allowed, or I don't know if they're allowed or not, but she seemed to be very concerned about it, so I thought I would just mention that. So maybe a few more signs would help. But my other comment was, I love the idea of beautifying that area, because whenever I go over there, I think, well, if there ever was a hurricane, maybe we would need, when they talk about infrastructure, does that mean that for a hurricane, if it ever came over from on our side there on the Gulf, would that mean that trees would be part of the infrastructure that would stop some of that water from flooding everything? Do we need more trees over there, or what does infrastructure mean for over there in case of a hurricane?
Well, if we get a Michael over here, a tree ain't gonna do a
Trees won't
thing.
even help, huh?
Yeah.
Ew.
As,
Okay.
as part of the beautification project, we're pushing for all native landscaping.
Yeah. Okay,
and
good.
native trees, even though palm trees aren't, sable palms do well in this area and things like that. So
Okay.
that's all taken into consideration.
Okay.
But yeah, trees,
That won't stop any of that water.
get over the
Well,
bridge
that-
and get out quick if that one comes.
Oh, okay. So I was wondering about the sustaining type of plants, everything to be as natural as possible, because people don't like to come in and where there was no grass, there's no grass. I don't think it's a good idea to start putting grass in where we would try to have it grow. I've seen lots of grass around Florida here that it looks like it's so hard to get it to grow here anyway. And then, so the more self-sustaining everything is, the less work we have to do. Yeah.
I
So-
could address both those real quick for you.
Okay.
Dale from Animal Services is looking to hire another animal control officer. So if you know anyone looking for a job, that way he could have 2 on the south end constantly. Right now, they only have 3 for the entire county. So we know dogs on the beach are a problem. Keep reporting them. The thing I could tell you is the sheriff with the resource officers he's got now in the schools, when school's not in session, he's already made a statement that you'll see more sheriffs on the beach this summer because they're fully badged car driving deputies. So he's going to reutilize that. Thank you to the school board for summertime for enforcement. Dale's working on another animal control officer, and actually staff is looking at the whole dogs on the beach thing. Everything from total enforcement to could we have a dog beach to could we have a permit. So they're looking at all the options that are happening across the coast to try and help that problem. Because as a dog owner,
No.
it's
I know.
I like responsible dog owners, and you
Yes.
don't take them where they don't go. I
Right.
would love to take mine to the beach, but they're not allowed.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
don't.
I think there
You
are
know.
other places they can go and run.
So,
I
and
think
as
that's
part of the lifeguard program and all that, they're actually going to be more proactive in reporting things they see rather than just sit in a tower and stare out at the water and wait for someone to need help. Chief Fury is going to have them more active and involved for a whole beach safety and enforcement program. So I think you're going to see a lot of changes coming up this season. The big thing is we're going to look at signs, but we don't want to inundate the beach with signs, so we're actually looking at how we display things in a nice manner, but clearly readable.
Right.
And the big thing is just people need to be responsible pet owners.
Right, and if they do disobey the rules, you could say $200 fine.
Well-
that might deter.
Right,
Some
and I believe, I can't say for sure, but I believe there's a relook at fines, the animal fines and everything, because we're doing a whole revamp on animal services, and they're doing good things, but you're gonna see a lot of changes in animal services as we go forward. Beautification, yes, Julie's doing a great job. You know, some of these projects came in and put non-native things in that are high maintenance, and we pay for it, you know, with our landscaping contract, so our push is to be more native. We've kind of talked, the only area we're willing to have more ornamental is around the sign at the end, at the bottom of the bridge.
Right.
That will, but our push, and we're doing a big land development code change to where we want to change the tree ordinance and the landscape ordinance and push for more native, low-maintenance
And the,
items.
and the master gardeners around here, I think there's a lot of them that would help with that. But also, I did want to mention, do we really need irrigation if we have lots of rain and
The only thing
everything here?
we're looking at is trying to put in things that would require a drip system.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay, thank
Julie will make your head spin if she tells you how much we pay to replace
I know.
sprinkler heads.
I know. Okay, good. I love that idea.
So
Don't
we
do
are,
anything.
those are all great inputs, and we're looking hard at it, and we're rolling the master gardeners in and everyone. So if you got input, feed it up to us, we'll take it. Is there anyone else that would like to address the TDC? Any other members have any other business? Welcome to our 2 members. Hopefully we didn't make your head hurt today. So, if there's no other business, I will call the meeting adjourned. Thanks all for coming.